People of Chaos. A message has just been intercepted from the planet Earth, located on the far side of the galaxy. This may be just the program we need to introduce order into chaos before it's too late. Prepare for receiving message. Message tracked to Japan, east sector of planet, northern hemisphere. Immediate reconnaissance requested. Repeat, immediate reconnaissance requested. Purpose of mission. 1. Investigate meaning of 5S. 2. Study practical examples of 5S in action. 3. Report back in detail. The RPHP and ID5S robots will provide assistance and record all data. Good luck. May the power of improvement be with you.
Oh, I nearly forgot. I'm supposed to look like a human reporter. Oh, that's better. Hey, this looks like a nice, clean factory. Let's go and take a look. Oh, whoops.
Hey, RPHP, where's she going?
Come on, ID5S. Time for investigation.
RPHP, what are they doing?
I know. It's known as Morning 5S. They have a briefing for 5 minutes every morning before starting work, and also do this human ritual called touch and call. They're confirming what they have to do and reminding themselves about safety.
These human factories are much cleaner than I expected. Oh, look at all these pictures. Ah, it's a list of each group's improvements. I see. The idea of 5S is to create a beautiful and pleasant place to work.
Question 1. What are the purposes of 5S?
Main purposes and effects of a 5S program. Reduce breakdowns, which leads to increased productivity and improved product quality. Elimination of the 3 Ds, dirty, dangerous and demanding, which helps to create a pleasant, safe working environment attractive to high-quality personnel. Implementation of PDCA with everyone's participation, which has the effect of changing the workplace itself, the way everyone thinks, and the general personality of the company. And enhance staff and customer satisfaction and better relations with society in general, which leads to a great improvement in general business results.
So now we have the answer to question 1. Total activation of workplace. Input time complete.
Oh, what's this? Lots of baseballs mixed in with the pin blocks. Ah, I see. It's to cut the noise and avoid scratching. A simple idea, but very clever. What's this photograph? Ah, it must be what this factory looked like before. Now they've created all this space. I suppose it's another result of 5S. This must be one of their improvements. I see. All the things for one job on one trolley. This must save a lot of time and effort. Oh, this is good too. A workbench you can move around. No wonder they can keep the floor so clean. Well, there are lots of really good effects of 5S. I've seen some great examples here. But when you apply 5S, are there effects you can't see, I wonder?
Asako Toyama has been working at this plant for 18 years. When the company introduced 5S, her line was designated as a model line. Everyone had great expectations for the results, and she responded by proceeding very positively with implementation of the program, to such an extent, in fact, that everyone now refers to the line as Asako's line.
Before improvements, I had to get rid of burrs and filings manually, so my arms used to get tired very easily and hot filings used to burn my neck. I used a brush to get filings off jigs, and that meant getting my hands very oily. It was filthy work. To avoid using a brush, we now release oil from the side of the jig and wash off the filings. And we can do broach processing without worrying about burrs. We adopted a U-line system, so there's less walking now, and it's much easier for me. As you can see here, I used to have to clean the broaching machine so hard, most of the paint disappeared. Everyone has encouraged me very much and helped me a lot.
Well, let's have a look at this factory and what they've done about clearing up.
In the workplace, production naturally generates unnecessary items along with the necessary items. If the unnecessary items pile up and are not eliminated, various problems will develop, and the workplace may actually stop functioning altogether. By definition, natural selection occurs naturally, but that is not the case in the workplace. Every worker has the responsibility to sort out the unnecessary from the necessary, and then to get rid of anything that is not required. This process of selection is the clearing up step of the 5S program. Here is a good example of stock control. If an order card is placed in the designated order case, whenever the stock reaches the point of ordering, the ordering process goes smoothly. The minimum quantity required is obtained from the supplier, and there is never excessive stock. This ideal situation was only reached by undertaking a complete clearing up program, which eliminated everything that was unnecessary. So let's now examine ways in which we can proceed with efficient clearing up, taking a look first at the basic theory and principles.
Time for question 2. What are the main principles of clearing up?
The first principle, classification, involves sorting items by function and frequency of use. It's necessary to decide clearly just how often you use each item. For example, every minute, every hour, once every couple of months, or just once a year at most.
And straight on to question 3. Are there standard procedures for clearing up?
Next, we're going to look at a factory with a really efficient system. What's their secret?
The basic idea is to fix storage according to frequency of use. If this is done properly, It means that vital tools such as cutters and screwdrivers will never get misplaced and will always be available in just the required quantity and no more. There is no space available for unnecessary items. And there are the extra advantages that removal of unnecessary items can free a lot of space and also contribute to increased productivity.
Input time, question 3, part 1. Classified by frequency of use and fixed storage. Input complete.
Now, let's see some examples of people who have applied these principles and find out what happened.
This used to be a very crowded part of the factory. They decided to aim at reducing the machine area by 30%. They went through a clearing up program twice and eventually succeeded in making a lot of space available. That space is now used for meetings and staff relaxation. With regard to evaluating the effects of a clearing up program, you should keep detailed track of how far you have gone towards achieving your targets and report fully to everybody just how successful the program has been. This kind of feedback is very important in maintaining everyone's enthusiasm and commitment.
Now we have the answer to question 6. Reduce stock, save money, save space. Input complete. Yeah.
Well, to sum it all up, there are two main points to clearing up. First, the ability to distinguish clearly between things. And second, the ability to make decisions about what to do. But you only develop these abilities by actually doing the clearing up yourself. I've really learned a lot here. This completes the second part of our mission. Well, now it's time for us to go back home and start clearing up our own planet.
Mission accomplished. Have you got all the data?
I hope so.
Right, back to space.
Yeah, I could really do with a good square of chaotic oil.
Me too.
Welcome back to chaos. Tell us what techniques you have learned this time for bringing order to chaos.
The 5S program. 5 steps to shaping up the shop floor. Step 1. Seiri, clearing up. Step 2. Seitong, organizing. Step 3. Seiso, cleaning. Step 4. Seiketsu, standardizing. Step 5. Shitsuke, training and discipline. In these videos, we would like to introduce and explain the 5S program. This is an invaluable shop floor organization and housekeeping system developed in Japan, but widely applicable. All the elements of the system may seem very simple and obvious in themselves, but we hope to demonstrate how regular and organized application of the 5S program can help you to create a better working environment and ensure consistently high-quality products. Let's begin by looking at how one factory in Japan set about shaping up its shop floor. This factory produces oil and water pumps for a large car manufacturer, all the way through from parts processing to assembly. You would expect the factory to be very dirty, but in fact it is famous for its cleanliness. Has it always been like this? Not at all. Let's take a brief look at the process they have to go through to get it like this. How about this for dirt and dust? Once everyone in the company had agreed that dirt was a major problem in the production process, the company decided to go all out in its implementation of the 5S program, beginning with this major cleaning operation, which produced over 7 tons of waste. The result was the creation of a more pleasant and efficient workplace, reliable products, and more job satisfaction. But the process was not limited simply to keeping the factory clean. The company decided that pumps can be beautiful and created this pump garden, complete with traditional Japanese-style room and sunken fireplace, even a tranquil Japanese garden. But what is this all about? Why did they take things so far? Why did they want to create a workplace like this using so much time and effort and money? And how do they keep it so clean? And just what does the pump garden mean? Is it just a kind of unusual guest room, or does it have some special meaning? Let's see what the factory manager has to say about it.
It all began about 9 years ago when we decided to construct a new integrated plant to improve productivity. Up to then, we had 2 separate plants, the manufacturing plant, which was very oily and dirty, and the assembly plant, which was very clean. It was, of course, a big problem trying to combine 2 totally different working environments. Normally, if you put clean with dirty, everything ends up dirty. We decided to do it the other way around, to make everything clean, and then do our best to keep it spotless. In other words, we decided to go all the way with everyone's cooperation and really create the kind of place that we'd want to work in. We reckon that if it's possible to keep your own house clean, then it should be possible to do the same at the workplace. That meant a thorough application of the 5S program. We came up with many ideas for getting rid of dirt and oil leaks and so on, and the idea of the pump garden gradually developed as a kind of symbol of what we were trying to do. Now it's become a place where everyone can relax and feel refreshed. It's amazing what an effect our emphasis on creating a clean and well-organized workplace has had, both on morale and on general productivity.
It was indeed a bold step to try and combine 2 very different factories. But excellent results have been achieved through company-wide cooperation. The employees put forward over 20,000 suggestions as the process went on. In fact, this has become a model factory, and it is constantly receiving visitors from other companies who are eager to see the effects of a concerted and ongoing application of the 5S system. The image not only of the integrated plant, but also of the whole company has been greatly improved.
What you have just seen is a perfect example of a company taking on a real challenge and developing lots of ideas to try and improve the whole production process. The 5S system actually consists of thousands of little daily operations which must all be well organized, completely understood by everyone, and maintained constantly. To get a system like this to work means encouraging all the employees to cooperate in a real spirit of teamwork. It is very easy to achieve some improvements and then gradually let things slip until the old problems reoccur. But if everyone realizes the value of the improvements, then the system can be maintained with confidence and a lot of satisfaction. Before we consider each step in detail, let's take a general look at the way the 5S program is associated with safety, efficiency, quality, and the elimination of breakdowns, as well as a few hints for 5S application.
First, the connection between the 5S program and safety in the workplace. Oh, watch out! Oh no! Oh, just missed. Clearly, a dirty, cluttered workplace cannot be regarded as a safe place to work. A common feature of factories all over the world is the number of safety notices posted up everywhere. The only problem is that most of the time nobody pays any attention to them. But safety should be a prime concern in any workplace. Safety measures include the use of helmets, suitable working shoes, keeping your eyes open at all times for potential dangers, and so on. There are so many things to be considered. But, as we shall show later, a workplace which applies the 5S program properly not only has fewer accidents, there is even less need for having safety posters at all. Safety depends on proper care and good organization, precisely what the 5S program is all about. A concern for safety should become second nature. Next, let's see how the 5S program affects efficiency. Look at this shine! This will produce perfect parts every time. Now what's going on here? Well, this group is about to get going on an intensive 5-minute 5S cleaning operation, and they're pumping themselves up for it. By sharing the same purpose and working together like this, what is rather unexciting work is given more zest and is done more efficiently. And the more the 5S program is applied, the more efficient the whole workplace will become. Next, how does the 5S program affect quality? Hey, what are you doing in that pile of filings? The 5S program can help with this kind of problem too. Shavings or filings of metal and dust left on machines can be a major reason for reduced efficiency. If the accuracy of the processing procedure is reduced, bad products will be the result. And if this is caused by your own laziness, you have no one to blame but yourself. Just a bit of extra effort on everybody's part can make a huge difference. These days, everybody demands the highest quality, and that can be achieved by applying the 5S program. Finally, how can the 5S program help to eliminate breakdowns? Ah, wrong button! Woo, that was a close call. That's funny. It worked all right last week. The first point being made here is that making a mistake with buttons or switches can be disastrous. That's why clear labelling and preventative maintenance are an integral part of the 5S program. The second point is that breakdowns caused by the accumulation of dirt need never occur. We'll be looking at both these important points in detail later. The 5S program can bring about dramatic improvements in the workplace in terms of safety, efficiency, quality, and the elimination of breakdowns. But how do we go about applying the system in practical terms? The 5S program is a system that needs constant attention. It involves many seemingly unimportant tasks, and there is always the danger of being half-hearted about them. But an effort has to be made to identify even the smallest of problem areas and ensure that appropriate action is taken. That means systematic discussion, planning, and implementation of improvements, bearing in mind that improvements can only be achieved a little at a time. The world cannot be changed overnight. Would you rather work in this kind of environment, or get rid of it once and for all and replace it with a workplace that is pleasant to work in and increases job satisfaction while ensuring reliable products? You might even begin to think about something like the pump garden in your own factory, a coffee lounge perhaps, or an indoor garden. All that's needed is the idea, the enthusiasm, and the willingness to make the effort. Now let's take a look at each of the 5 steps in turn. The first and perhaps most important step in the 5S program is clearing up. What this basically involves is the sorting out of what is really necessary and what is not, and deciding how to organize the workplace accordingly. If you take a careful look at your workplace, you will almost certainly find tools or gadgets that are broken or unusable or only occasionally used. All they're doing is cluttering up the place. So what can be done with them? Having made the decision to clear up the workplace, the first thing is to decide what to do with unnecessary things. Doing the job properly will also involve a major cleaning operation and fixing a policy for broken or useless items. Eliminating waste can be dealt with by classification or appropriate action at the source of the problem. Now a few checkpoints for your workplace. Check 1. Can you find any unnecessary things cluttering up your workplace? Check 2. Are there any unnecessary cables or pipes just left as they are? Check 3. Are there any tools or materials left on the floor? Check 4. Are all unnecessary items sorted out, classified, stored, and labeled? Check 5. Are all gauges and tools properly classified and stored? We hope you now have some ideas for how to proceed with the first of the 5 S's, clearing up. In many ways, the most vital part of the 5S program. Your attitude towards clearing up reflects your general attitude to work. By applying the system and ensuring that everyone in the workplace keeps the system going, you can achieve immediate and very positive results. In Volume 2, we will take a look at the next 2 steps. How about this for a spotless factory? Surely anybody would be happy to work in a tidy, well-organized workplace like this. But such a place is the result not just of hoping for improvement, but of everyone in the factory getting together and working at it step by step with a clear purpose in mind. In this section of the video, we will take a look at step 2 of the 5S program, organizing, and show how it plays a vital role in the general improvement of any factory environment. The basic point of workplace organization is to fix the layout of tools and equipment so that everything is readily available just when it is needed. In step 1, we cleared up. Now we have to sort out storage. Exactly what, where, and how many. One of the most common ways of wasting time and effort is the process of searching for something we want on badly organized shelves. This really is a pointless waste of energy, especially when we are hurrying to meet a deadline. It leads to frustration and stress and a great decline in both efficiency and productivity. So what practical steps can we take to remove this problem? Here is the basic procedure for organizing. First, it is necessary to analyze the present situation before deciding on the appropriate storage place. Then a storage method must be fixed. The final step is to make sure that all storage rules are strictly kept at all times and by everybody involved. This is the way to efficiency. The next thing is to decide how to store items. Here's an example of a clever idea somebody came up with. When you insert the card, a lamp goes on to show where the item you want is stored. No mistakes, no wasted time. It's important to remember that it is very easy to mix up similar items, especially when you're in a hurry, which is not only inefficient, it can even be dangerous. Here are the 3 basic points for fixing the storage method. The third of the 5 S's may sound simple enough, cleaning. But in practice, step 3 involves many activities. By cleaning, we basically mean removing everything from the workplace that shouldn't really be there and maintaining everything in the best possible condition by constant checking and constant care. The essence of cleaning is careful checking. The first point to stress is that it is impossible to be too clean. Accumulations of dust or oil or fine metal shavings or dirt of any kind can easily lead to faulty machines, inferior products, loss of efficiency, and even accidents. A careful look around any factory will reveal all kinds of dirt problems, all of which can be eliminated only by careful consideration, appropriate cleaning procedures, and prevention measures. Let's take a look first at a factory which had major cleaning problems. You will remember that at the beginning of Volume 1, we took a brief look at a pump factory which had to clear up completely. Here is another factory with similar problems. On this production line, automobile vibration damping sheets are turned out using asphalt. The extensive use of powder in the process means that the whole working environment quickly gets really dirty. The company decided to tackle the problem in a big way, starting with the main line as a test case. This major cleaning operation produced huge amounts of dirt and dust from the roof beams and above the ducts. Far more than anyone had expected. The fourth step of the 5S program is called standardizing. It involves the maintenance of a clean working environment free of pollution and completely safe and well organized. Standardizing is the way to maintain the results achieved by constant application of steps 1, 2, and 3. One important part of step 4 is to develop a clear system whereby any machine malfunctions or abnormalities can be recognized at a glance and dealt with even if they only rarely occur. Such a system must be very visible and also easily understood by everyone. The role of step 4 is to ensure the maintenance of the effectiveness of all 5S activities through standardization. Let's look in detail at just how standardization helps to reveal abnormalities and malfunctions. Every workplace is full of machines and pieces of equipment of many different types. But there is a real problem if the operator of each machine is the only person who can spot abnormalities and malfunctions. It is vital that in an emergency, anyone in the section can react to the situation quickly and effectively. The key to this is a clear and complete system of labeling and marking. Every attempt should be made to make malfunctions visible. In other words, to show the situation clearly. Let's look at the main points about visual control. Here are the main points about recognizing malfunctions. As we have seen, standardization is the key to maintaining high standards of work efficiency. By ensuring visibility in the workplace, we can guarantee that necessary action is taken quickly. The situation in the factory should be similar to that on the roads. Appropriate and clear signs that anyone can understand, but not so many that the eye gets confused. The main thing is to decide what visual controls are suitable for your working environment and then standardize them. And now we move on to the final step. The final step of the 5S program is training and discipline, with special emphasis on developing habits of efficiency and safety and sticking to them once they have been fixed. The first important point is to think about the best way of transmitting our ideas and thoughts to others. We often give instructions or reports orally, but that is not always the most effective method. Here we have a visual one-point lesson about knife switch operation and how to avoid accidents. Use of pictures like this can make the point clearly and quickly. In any workplace, there is obviously a big difference in the efficiency and time taken to do a particular piece of work between new employees and veteran workers. New staff may make a lot of mistakes and have to repeat operations and waste time making adjustments. Without proper supervision, this kind of thing can easily increase. Correct training techniques are vital. It is not enough for workers to say, "Yes, I understand." The supervisor must make sure that workers not only understand, but are shown by example what to do, and then allowed to try it themselves. Careful step-by-step training like this, repeated many times, will make the work easy and automatic. At the same time, workers can train themselves in new processes by studying standard documents. It is never easy to stick to all the procedures and schedules that have been fixed. Most of us are lazy and tend to go for the easy way out. But step 5 is intended to encourage the development of good habits and an environment in which everyone feels free to comment on each other's work and suggest corrections as necessary. A workplace operating at full capacity needs suitable training and the right amount of discipline to ensure that all 5 steps are followed at all times. Wherever we go in our daily lives, we are surrounded by eye-catching signs. Company logos, designs, illustrations, symbols. They're all carefully designed to be instantly recognizable, and they tend to use the kind of colors and shapes that we respond to most readily. Graphic displays such as these are valuable information tools, which can often communicate their message much faster and more easily than words can. In these 3 videos, we hope to demonstrate the vital role that effective visual control systems can play in ensuring work operations that are smoother, faster, safer, and more productive. Let's now move inside the factory and see the same principles in operation there. Most of you are probably familiar with the PDCA control cycle. Plan, do, check, act. At the heart of all our work activities are strict standards, and whatever deviates from those standards obviously needs to be adjusted using the PDCA cycle. Visual control systems exist both to point out abnormalities or deviations from the standard, and also to reduce the occurrence of such problems. They are a vivid demonstration of the application of the principles of the 5S system. In this overview, we'd like to look at various visual control systems in operation in actual factories to give you an idea of the huge number of possible applications. This is the operations room in an iron processing plant which controls hot melt input. Temperature control is a vital factor here. This is the recently installed FC hot melt input temperature control box. It is easy to see at a glance whether the temperature is just right, falling or rising. If the temperature goes beyond certain limits, then input is stopped automatically. This meter used to be located much too high and was very difficult to read. Now it is conveniently positioned at eye level. An important point here is that it is very easy for any of us to get into a condition at work where the forces of habit take over, and both our sense of problem awareness and our willingness to solve problems or consider improvements get dulled. But a well-planned visual control system serves to present problems clearly and immediately and can shake us out of our state of lethargy. Here are 4 basic visual control points. 1. What needs monitoring? Where is the critical point? And where should you look for it? 2. How are abnormalities defined and indicated? 3. How easy is checking? Can you sense anything wrong? What tool should you use for checking? 4. What action should be taken? Are emergency procedures clear? How about maintenance and improvements? Let's now move on to look at 5 specific areas of application: storage, operations, equipment, quality, and safety. One of the most essential elements of the 5S system is the proper implementation and maintenance of an effective storage system for parts, tools, and equipment. In Part 2, we'll look at various ways of applying visual controls to storage on the shop floor.
Oh no, bad products again. We keep using the wrong parts because the boxes look the same. It's so easy to make a mistake.
To avoid problems like these, strict storage control is required, so that everyone involved knows exactly what, where, and how much, and also so that anything can be removed or replaced easily when needed and in the quantities required. These are the main purposes of visual control of storage. For our final example, let's look at a storage area for casting molds. This factory stocks dozens of different molds, and each one is used several times every day. Obviously, it is important to have some indication of which mold is being used where at all times. Each shelf therefore has a label clearly indicating the shelf number, the mold number and type, and the place of use. To give immediate information on the present location of every mold, a location chart is used. The colored tags give information at a glance. Green means in use, red means under repair, yellow means on the shelf with location indicated, and white means being polished. The chart makes it very easy for anyone to understand the situation immediately. This is a very good example of careful storage facilitating immediate action. The storage place is fixed, and there is straightforward control of both removing and replacing molds. We began part 2 by looking at the kinds of problems that can occur when proper control of storage is not implemented. We hope that the actual examples of visual control systems we have just seen will give you some hints as to what might be done to improve your own storage areas. The secret is to determine the problems you have and then get everyone interested in suggesting ideas to solve them. In Volume 2, we'll look at visual control systems for shop floor operations and equipment.
I told you before, this machine needed checking. You never listen, do you? All you think about is production, and now we can't produce nothing. Use your head a little, will you? Oh, no! The robot's churning out bad parts. When did it start doing that? I always said you could never trust machines.
Well, we've probably all experienced situations like that. They clearly demonstrate the time and effort that can be wasted by failing to control work operations properly. Our second example concerns visual controls applied to specification charts on an assembly line. Once again, the main purpose is to make the situation understandable to everyone involved. The first feature of these charts is that they use very clear illustrations to explain each work process. The second feature is that important checkpoints are marked with arrows. This makes checking and maintenance procedures much easier and means that even workers not responsible for that process can understand the situation. The third feature is the use of color coding according to type of equipment. This line deals with about 50 different types of engine. To avoid assembly errors, they are classified into 12 basic categories. each with its own color code. The fourth interesting feature is the use of checking seals. Whenever some change is made to a work process or the tools used, the standard specification charts must be revised at the line. Since mistakes can occur, a checking seal is attached to ensure that there is periodic checking of the specification chart so that the information is always accurate and up to date. These specification charts are a good example of applying simple but clear visual controls to point out important checkpoints as well as changes to the process. It doesn't take much effort to set up this kind of system, but the benefits are obvious. The examples of visual control we've been looking at in Part 3 are concerned with clarifying the whole work process and finding ways of indicating just what the present situation is. What should be achieved, what should be happening, what's going wrong, and what action should be taken. Having cleared up the general operations on the shop floor, let's look next at visual control of the equipment. You may be wondering why we're beginning Part 4 with a fish tank. Not exactly the equipment you would normally expect to find in a factory. But in fact, this is our first example of visual control. What does it do? Well, let's hear from the section foreman why it's there.
It used to be very difficult to check whether the fans for the underground motors were working properly or not, and we began thinking of ways to make the checking easier. At last, we came up with the idea of a goldfish tank. As long as the bubbles are there, we know that the fans are working correctly. This is just one of our 5S TPM activities, but it's proved to be the most popular, and it was a lot of fun to do.
Mechanization and automation are increasing rapidly in factories all over the world, and they are bringing all kinds of work benefits. However, with fewer and fewer people on the shop floor, it is also becoming more and more difficult to check such equipment. Although many production line operators are expected to check the equipment themselves, many of them have no real engineering experience. As a result, all kinds of problems can occur. Here is an example of equipment operated by a belt. Before improvements were made, the belt was completely hidden by the cover, and it was impossible to tell whether the belt was correctly aligned and at the right tension. The visual control idea implemented here was to make a window in the cover using transparent plastic. This simple device is used to test the belt tension. White indicates that everything is fine. Red means that adjustments must be made. The label indicates clearly the size of belt in use, its number, and when it should be replaced. Modifications are outlined in red or green so that they can be seen easily. The proper checking and maintenance of equipment becomes ever more vital as production techniques improve and automation speeds up many work processes. We hope we have given you some ideas as to how improvements can be made using better visual control in all parts of the factory. In Volume 3, we will move on to look at how visual control systems relate to production quality and safety measures. Robots have become an invaluable part of modern production processes. But just like humans, robots are not infallible. There is always the danger of the smallest error going unnoticed, and a vast quantity of defective products being turned out. And there is nothing worse than such products leaving the factory. This makes constant checking more important than ever.
Yes, I know why we're getting so many complaints. Somebody must be using the bad parts that should have been thrown out. We're not labeling them properly. Now look, I've just heard that today's batch was all bad, covered in scratches. You're only checking the list the operators give you, aren't you? Don't leave it up to them. Always double check yourself, right? Don't forget.
The outside dimensions are wrong. You didn't check your slide calipers, did you? Look at them. The slide's loose. Oh, yeah. I didn't notice.
In Part 5, we're looking at quality. And guaranteed quality should include not only the final products, but also all the materials, tools, measuring instruments, operation controls, and even the people involved. Applying visual control systems to quality control is vital in order to strive for zero defects and zero complaints. Let's now take a look at a paint line that uses air jets. If the pressure drops for any reason, it can interfere with the spraying process and also lead to defective products. To avoid pressure problems, they use flashing lamps and an alarm speaker to indicate when the pressure drops below a fixed limit. This is a good example of visual control to avoid the possibility of producing inferior products. Now let's review the 3 main points for improving visual control of quality. Point 1. Avoid the chance of defects resulting from human error. For example, make sure that there can be no confusion between perfect products and defective ones. Avoid mixing very similar but different products. Differentiate using colors, patterns, and marks. Ask workers brought in to help from other departments to wear a distinguishing mark, such as different colored hats, so that they can be spotted easily and given appropriate instructions. Point 2. Clearly identify potential function or performance abnormality points by using Q-compo labels to avoid checking misses and flashing lights and alarms to indicate abnormalities of temperature, speed, or pressure. Point 3. Implement proper checking procedures. Use double checking, morning markets, and reminders to maintain everyone's awareness. Also regularly check measuring instruments. The use of more automation might appear to guarantee better quality control. But we hope we have demonstrated the vital importance of vigilance on the shop floor to ensure that there is guaranteed quality at every stage in the production process. Visual control improvements can really help with this and help make zero defects a reality. In the final part, we will take a look at safety control systems. Green, yellow, red. Go, caution, stop. 3 simple colors that transmit their message clearly and effectively. As we pointed out at the beginning of these videos, road signs are a perfect example of visual controls in daily life. They have been developed and improved over many years, using a huge variety of colors and patterns. Their prime purpose is to increase safety on the road. And if we think carefully about them, we should be able to find lots of ideas applicable to shop floor safety as well. And that's what we'd like to do in this final part. The next example is a very common danger point, a grinder which is used by many people every day. The problem is it revolving or not? It's impossible to tell just by looking. Let's try it. Yes, it was in fact switched on. The potential danger here is obvious. One solution is to attach a lamp which flashes when the grinder is turning. The other point about this grinder is that momentum keeps the wheel turning even when the machine is switched off. So the lamp continues flashing as long as the grinder is moving, whether the machine is switched on or not. This next safety control has been given the amusing name of the magic broomstick. It is in fact an automatic rail sweeping device. And it's designed to stop if anyone approaches, using a magic eye. This shop floor uses many other visual controls. Lamps on the vehicles, clear warning signs at crossing points, foot marks at stopping points, and so on. Safety control has to be a priority in any working situation every minute of the day and night. And we hope we have given you some useful ideas for visual control systems to avoid accidents and unnecessary problems. All the real examples we have shown in these 3 videos were the result of people getting together to think carefully about ways to apply the principles of the 5S system to their own particular problem situations. We hope you too can develop your own ideas to make your workplace safer, more efficient, and generally a more pleasant place to work.
I know TPM means cleaning for one thing, but surely the cleaning staff can do all that.
Well, my boy, you see, when we say cleaning, it doesn't just mean sweeping up the corridor and wiping the window glass. Of course, it is important to keep your working environment clean, but cleaning in TPM terms means something a bit different. For example, instead of leaving the tops of the machines and the surrounding area untidy, you need to sort out what is really necessary and what isn't, and clear things up accordingly. And then you want to avoid scattering splashes of oil and showers of metal filings and dust and all of that, right? After that, you can proceed a bit further and think up some good ideas of how to avoid such things in the first place. That's what cleaning really means. Meaningful cleaning up of the equipment.
But why all that cleaning?
Precisely. That's the whole point. Why is it necessary to pay so much attention to equipment cleaning?
It's easy enough for them to say. They order us to clean everything up, but what's the point of it all?
Well, just have a quick look around. And if you think it's tidy, that's good enough, isn't it?
Well, if that's all it takes, then my area's perfect already.
What do you mean by unnecessary things? Do we have anything like that?
Well, what about that pipe behind your bench? You don't use it at all, so it's useless, isn't it?
Where? Behind the bench? I haven't looked down there for years. I wouldn't put my hand down there. It's covered in oil and dust. Can't we forget that and check somewhere else?
You can't forget about it. You've got to do it sometime, so why not start off with the dirtiest place?
What? We'll get all covered in oil and muck around there. I can't meet my girl smelling like a sludge pot.
Now, hold on there. Cleaning and all that's okay. But we've been doing things in the same way for a long time. We start changing things around, everything will get completely out of whack. The machines, and me too.
But this is a factory, not a hospital. Does it really do any good?
Of course, you eliminate the problems.
Like magic. That's really great. It's like saying all we have to do is polish the car and we don't have any breakdowns, right?
Boy, have we still got a long way to go.
Let's see what the professor means by taking a look at some actual examples from factories that have received PM prizes. In just about any factory, there are bits of equipment that nobody has ever inspected carefully and certainly haven't been cleaned. Oil and metal shavings and dust are all stuck together thickly so that you can't even touch the surface of the machine. Of course, proper cleaning involves getting dirty. In this particular factory, as the cleaning process went on, an unbelievable number of faulty parts emerged, including the loose bolts and oil leaks the professor mentioned. Every problem point was marked with a label, which was only removed once the fault had been fully checked and repaired or improved in some way. When you see the end result, with equipment that is all sparkling clean and working perfectly, you really get more enthusiastic about your work. But they didn't just stop at cleaning the outside of the equipment. They got right inside and cleaned all the places that are normally difficult to see and hard to reach. These are the places where oil and sludge easily accumulate. As you can see from these examples, there is a dramatic difference between the before and after situations. The next example is extremely simple, but it serves to avoid the spread of dirt very effectively. At first, the workers tried using very thin vinyl sheets, but the air pressure tended to blow these around. They then decided to use stiff plastic sheets instead, with two simple clips at the top to hold them in place. This made it easy to remove the sheets for cleaning as soon as they get dirty. This idea also avoided dirt spreading around the equipment and improved the general look of the workplace. The workers were all very satisfied with their creation.
I've heard the phrase 6 major losses. What does it mean exactly?
Ah, well, the various types of time, energy, efficiency, and financial loss in the factory include what we call the 6 major losses. I'll run through them. When machines suddenly break down, you get what we call breakdown losses. And if you have downtime because of lengthy preparation for some setup procedure, you get setup losses. Then there are problems when machines are left idling because the workflow is not efficient, or when faulty products are detected by the sensor and you have short stoppages. Those make up type number 3. Next, if there is trouble when you operate machinery at the design speed, which means you have to run at a reduced speed, you get speed reduction losses. When you get defective products which have to be thrown out or reprocessed, you have defect losses. Finally, you get yield losses if there are difficulties starting up again after resetting, and defective products are the result of constant stopping and starting. Those 6 losses are a real problem.
The first example is this cutting machine. Fine filings used to fall through the channel holding the cutting blade and also fall off the edge of the cutting table onto the rubber wheel below. The filings caused damage, and as a result, the machine regularly broke down. For a long time, everyone thought it was impossible to prevent filings from damaging the machine. But at last they couldn't stand it any longer, and the operators decided they had to improve the design somehow. They managed to design an original improvement by adding this effective wheel cover and waste channel, which keeps the waste away from the workings and concentrates it in one place. Cleaning time has been greatly reduced, and breakdowns have been reduced to almost 0. At first, there were standard technique study classes. For example, some workers couldn't deal with welding, so they were given lessons in which they could practice and increase their skills. Other workers were not familiar with the basics of bolt tightening, so special classes were begun to help them as well. There are always some people who are not very interested in classes like these at the beginning, but as they progress, they get more involved and see the value of them. Enthusiasm spreads throughout the company. At the start, they used to have a lot of equipment downtime, but now that has been greatly reduced to less than 800 minutes per month. Reduced downtime is just one of the excellent results of individual or autonomous maintenance training. And now everyone realizes that it was a very good idea to launch the training program. This instructor is explaining to new employees various improvements that were made by a relatively young and inexperienced group of workers. The improvements included ways to avoid backstrain when moving materials over to a metal mold, adding receiving pans to collect metal filings, and a window installed for one-touch checking of a V-belt without removing the cover bolts. Working on these improvements together gave all the young workers in this section a lot of confidence and enthusiasm. Let's take the visit with the group from Company Z. This is in fact a diesel factory. Although it's difficult to believe, it certainly doesn't look like one. The surprises start at the entrance, where you change from your street shoes into special shop floor shoes. And look at the shop floor and the equipment. It all looks brand new, but in fact it's quite old. What exactly did they have to do to get it looking like this? Let's hear from one of the supervisors.
Our equipment includes many old machines. Neither detergent nor cleaning compound were enough to get rid of the dirt. So we had to use wire brushes, gravers and hammers, and also made our own special cleaning equipment. We took all the machines apart and cleaned every little corner.
Here is another good example, where the operator of a conveyor belt seriously considered ways to avoid breakdowns and defective products and improve operating efficiency. He used to use a cloth to wipe the belt clean. This took time and didn't do the job very well. But watch this. An ordinary car wiper turned out to be the perfect tool for the job. It's easy, it's flexible, and it's effective. A simple but brilliant idea. TPM activities extend even into the office area of the factory. To increase working efficiency, various improvements were thought up, as you can see here. A place for everything, and everything in its place. Efficiency is essential for any filing system. Here, an in-use tag must be inserted whenever a file is removed.
That tears it. It really puts our plant to shame.
Yes, and they all looked so enthusiastic.
They seemed so confident.
The place was so clean. Touch a machine and you didn't even get dirty hands.
The place was probably clean before they cleaned it.
No, they showed me the pictures. It used to be dirtier than ours.
Yeah, but do they get good results in productivity or whatever?
Yes, look at these graphs. They're amazing. This one shows how the time needed for cleaning, checking, and lubrication has gone right down over the 3 years since they implemented TPM.
Wow,
that is a big change.
And look at this. The number of breakdowns shot down as well.
Oh,
that's amazing.
And this one shows productivity. That shot right up, and it's still going up.
That's incredible. Great.
It'd be great to work in a place like that, don't you think so?
Oh, you think so too? They're producing diesels, right? But it looks like a computer plant, huh?
Hey, we could try and do it here.
The 5 pillars of TPM. 1. Improving individual production efficiency. 2. Establishing autonomous maintenance for operators. 3. Establishing planning and maintenance systems. 4. Training for upgrading operation and maintenance skills. And 5. Establishing initial control systems for new products and new equipment.
Now, I bet those sound familiar? Yes, of course, we've been examining just how some companies put those 5 pillars into action. I think you've heard quite enough from me. I've explained the theory and given you examples and blueprints for action, so now it's up to you. And good luck with it!
What could be better than a factory in which all the operators are positive and lively and the workplace atmosphere is really cheerful? As we've tried to show you in these 3 videos, proper application of TPM techniques can really achieve those things. And both the cause and the effect are 0 defective products, 0 stoppages, and 0 breakdowns. Total productive maintenance, your route to higher productivity, a better working environment, and greater satisfaction.